Echoes from the motherland. The boy who forgot his name. Long ago, in a quiet village called Lockdown, people believed that a name was more than a word. A name carried a story. A name carried a destiny. In that village, every child knew where they came from. They knew the names of their ancestors. They knew the land that fed them and the traditions that guided them. In the village, forgetting your roots was like forgetting how to breathe. One rainy morning, a child was born in the home of Adewale, a hard-working farmer. The rain fell heavily on the roof that night. But when the baby cried, the whole compound filled with joy. 7 days later, the elders gathered for the naming ceremony. The baby was lifted into the air, and Adewale spoke proudly. This child will be called Ao. Ao. It meant joy. The boy was named Ao because his birth brought happiness to his family after many years of waiting. Everyone prayed for him. May his life bring joy wherever he goes. The elders smiled. The drums played softly. The celebration lasted until evening. But no one knew that one day, the boy named Joy would forget the meaning of his own name. Ao grew up like every child in the village. He ran through the farms barefoot. He climbed mango trees. He chased goats and laughed loudly with his friends. But Ao was different in one way. He asked too many questions. Why must we greet elders every morning? Why must we farm the same land our fathers farmed? Why do we follow these old traditions? Some elders smiled at his curiosity. Others shook their heads. A child must first listen before asking questions, they would say. But Ao's father did not punish him for asking questions. One evening, as the sun was setting, behind the forest, Adewale sat beside his son. "My son," he said quietly, "the tree that grows tall must never forget the soil that feeds it." Ao nodded. But he did not really understand those words. Not yet. Everything changed the day a trader returned from the city. His name was Kunnel. Kunnel arrived wearing bright clothes and shiny shoes that sparkled in the sunlight. The children followed him around the market as he told exciting stories. In the city, Kunnel said proudly, "The buildings are taller than trees. The roads are filled with cars. Money flows everywhere." Ao listened carefully. His eyes grew wide with wonder. For the first time in his life, the quiet village began to feel small. Weeks passed. But the stories of the city stayed inside Ao's mind. He began to dream about a different life. A life with bright lights. A life with big opportunities. One evening, he finally spoke to his father. "Father," he said, "I want to go to the city." Adewale looked at him for a long moment. "The city is not a place of magic," he replied. "It is a place of struggle." "But people become successful there," Ao argued. His father nodded slowly. "Yes. Some do. But many forget who they are." Ao did not understand what his father meant. To him, the city looked like a door to a bigger life. A few days later, Ao visited the oldest man in the village. Baba Sogunal. The old man sat beneath the giant baobab tree where he told stories to children every full moon. He looked at Ao carefully. "Young man," he said, "your thoughts are traveling far away." Ao smiled. "I only want to see the world." Baba Sogunal nodded. "There is nothing wrong with that." Then he added quietly, "But never travel so far that you forget who you are." Ao laughed. "How can someone forget themselves?" The old man did not laugh. "It happens more often than you think." Months later, Ao finally left the village. His mother cried when he said goodbye. His father gave him a small bag of food and a little money. Before Ao left, Adewale placed his hands on his son's shoulders. Never be ashamed of where you come from. Ao nodded quickly. I won't. But deep inside, he already believed the village was something he would soon leave behind forever. The journey to the city took many hours. When Ao finally arrived, everything felt overwhelming. Cars honked loudly. People rushed past each other without greeting. Tall buildings stood where trees should have been. The city was fast. Loud. Busy. At first, Ao felt excited. He found work in the market carrying goods for traders. The work was hard, but he was determined to succeed. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, the city began to change him. Ao stopped speaking his village dialect in public. He began to dress like the city boys. Then one day, he made a strange decision. He shortened his name. Instead of introducing himself as Ao Adewale, he began telling people his name was AJ. It sounded more modern. More powerful. More like someone who belonged in the city. Each time he said it, something inside him faded quietly. The boy named Joy was slowly disappearing. One evening, after a long day of work, Ao sat outside a crowded shop. The bright lights of the city surrounded him. For a brief moment, he remembered the village. The quiet nights. The fire. The stories under the baobab tree. He remembered the voice of Baba Soganal. But the memory quickly faded. That life is behind me, he whispered. Without realizing it, Ao had begun to forget something very important. Not just the village. Not just the stories. But the meaning of his own name. And far away in the ville, under the same moon that watched over the city, Baba Soganal looked down the road that led out of the village. The old man sighed softly. The boy is walking far, he murmured. Too far. But the land remembers. Even when people forget. And sometimes, the voice of the motherland finds a way to call its children back. Even those who believe they have forgotten their names.